English rugby is at a crossroads. Last year, an encouraging Six Nations was followed by disappointing results against Southern Hemisphere teams. At the end of 2024, they finished with a record of just 5 wins from 12 matches. But England have a great chance to win this Six Nations, and I think they will if they solve these 5 issues. Number 1. Defence. England's defence was a narrative for the whole of 2024. The hiring of Felix Jones was supposed to revolutionise them and take them to the next level. They wanted to implement that blitzing tactic that had won the Springboks back-to-back World Cups. But unfortunately, they've struggled to make this tactic work effectively, and in fact, their defence got significantly worse as the year went on. In the autumn series, they conceded 3 tries against the All Blacks, 5 tries against Australia and 4 tries against South Africa. It doesn't matter who you are, you aren't going to reliably win Test rugby matches by conceding 3 or 4 tries per game. You can get away with it at club level, but not at Test level. This Six Nations, England's new defence coach will be coming into his second campaign in the role, and he's got a big decision to make. Does he abandon the blitzing tactic that they spent the entire of 2024 trying to make work, or does he double down? And if they are going to double down, they need to start selecting players who are suited to that defensive system. And that brings me to number 2, team cohesion. Cohesion is essentially defined as the understanding between teammates on the field. It's built up through players spending many hours playing and training together, and it means that in any given scenario during a match, players know how their teammates are going to act and how they're going to react. Now, it's very difficult to build up high levels of cohesion in a Test rugby environment, but there is one clever trick that many countries use to get around this. Have you ever noticed that the Ireland national team is mostly made up of Leinster players, or that the France national team is mostly made up of Toulouse players? Scotland are mostly made up of Glasgow, South Africa used to be made up of the Stormers and now made up of the Sharks. By selecting combinations who are playing together week in, week out at club level, teams are importing cohesion and understanding that they wouldn't have time to build up in camp. England used to do this all the time. A few years ago, the England side was built around a Saracens core, a hyper-successful club side that dominated English and European rugby. But in the last couple of years, that cohesion has started to fall away. Let's look at the backline that England had on the pitch in the final few minutes against the All Blacks in the autumn series. They had a scrum half from Bristol, a fly half from Sale, one centre from Exeter, another centre from Bath, and wingers from Northampton. 5 pro teams represented in one backline. That's more pro teams than there are in the whole of Ireland. Is it any surprise that England continue to fall apart at the end of games with this mishmash of players on the pitch? And this is something that England need to learn from. They need to look at the Premiership, see which teams are playing the game plan most similar to what they want to play, and pick combinations from those clubs that they know already work. Speaking of game plan, let's move on to point number 3, identity. Close your eyes and think of England. I'm willing to bet that most of you are picturing Johnny Wilkinson and Martin Johnson right now. Now open your eyes and look at the England team in front of you. Doesn't look the same, does it? If we think about English rugby DNA, we think about a forward-oriented team playing pragmatic, winning rugby. But below Test level, English Premiership sides are moving away from this tradition. We are seeing teams more and more willing to run from their own 22, and we are seeing some insane scorelines racked up. Now, as recently as the 2023 World Cup, England did play a pragmatic, forward-orientated, kick-heavy game plan, and everybody hated it, including the players. Now, England have been at pains to insist that their attacking game plan is evolving, but it's still a long way away from what we're seeing the players doing week in, week out in the Premiership. So the English coaches have to make a choice. Are they going to double down on this English traditional Brexit rugby, or are they going to give in and start chucking the ball around? And if it's the latter, you've got to ask the question, is Steve Borthwick the right head coach to deliver that? And that brings me to point number 4, coaching harmony. The England coaching ticket has been a merry-go-round in recent seasons. Eddie Jones's tenure as England head coach was defined as a constant cycling in and out of support staff and assistant coaches. And unfortunately, in the Borthwick era, it isn't getting much better. For example, Felix Jones, he left in the middle of last season, citing an unstable working environment as his reason for leaving. England desperately need to nail down a stable coaching ticket that's going to see them from now until the next World Cup. And the players need to buy in to what those coaches are telling them. And finally, number 5, Marcus Smith. Come on, did you really think you were going to watch an England rugby video without Marcus Smith coming up? Marcus Smith is a unicorn rugby player. The influence the fly half is able to have on rugby matches is greater than what 90% of other players are able to achieve. The number of touches, passes, kicks, line breaks, defenders beaten he's able to register, game in, game out, is scarcely believable. And at times during the autumn, he was England's only reliable attacking outlet. He was the only one they could turn to guarantee an attacking spark. So why then is there still so much debate about whether Marcus Smith is the right man to play number 10 for England? Well, it comes back to the 4 points I mentioned previously in this video. Do the coaches rate him? Do they see him as a fly half or a fullback? Does he suit the identity? Can he play pragmatic or is he all out attack? Where's his cohesion? Are they going to select a load of other Harlequins players to get the best out of him? And does he suit the defensive strategy, whatever that strategy turns out to be? Marcus Smith is a special individual, but unfortunately he's still perceived as just that, an individual. And turning him from that individual into a key part of a 15-man system, I believe, is the key to England reaching the next level. So I hope you liked that video. If you did, please consider subscribing to the channel, leave your thoughts in the comments down below, and I'll see you for next week's video. Cheers.